Hello, I'm Gareth Davies, and this is the Championship Rounds for Pitch Boxing, where I bring you all the interviews from the combat sports world. Enjoy. Well, I'm joined by Mikaela, who's set to make, I think, a very historic night in London on September the 10th. I can't wait because it's my birthday as well. Can't wait to be working on my birthday. Hopefully we get the broadcast as well with Talk Sport that night. And it's a massive night, 3 huge women's fights that could have headlined in their own right, frankly.
Wait, third one.
Well, I believe, I'm not really announcing this, but I believed that maybe Tasha Jonas and Hannah Ranking is on that card as well.
I heard a slight rumor too, so maybe, but it hasn't been confirmed yet, but that would be awesome.
I mean, it's quite incredible if those 3 fights are on that card.
I love it. You know, when this idea was brought to my attention, like I was super on board with it, and people are kind of coming at me like, but you know, Mayor Baumgartner is a main event worthy fight. And I'm like, yeah, but like that would just be my ego getting involved. Like I think this is about doing, like, I want my career to be doing about doing legendary things. And this is freaking iconic, right? Like an all women's card in London where women's boxing is booming, and hell yeah, I'm all about it. I think it's gonna be great.
And you were just hinting to me before we started recording that I'll talk to you about Alicia Baumgartner and the fight in a minute, but after this fight, and you've unified all but one of the belts, because there's only the Kunmi Choi WBA title to unify for Undisputed after that you were planning something.
Yeah, I've been telling everyone in my division that these fights need to happen this year or I'm moving up. And luckily, Top Rank, you know, presented Alicia Baumgartner with money she couldn't refuse and made this fight happen. And you know, early 6 months after she got the title, I made this fight happen. She wanted me to wait, but we got it done. And after I beat Baumgartner, I'm going to give Choi a couple weeks to get a fight done with me.
Yeah.
Because if she doesn't fight me by December, early January, I'm out, and she'll miss out on the payday. But luckily, I hear that Pursoon might be her mandatory. And that would be awesome because I believe that Delphine beats Choi, and then I can negotiate with a real champion.
Wow. And then is it a step up to lightweight from there, or?
Yeah, it's a step up to lightweight. Ideally, I would love to go into a fight with Katie Taylor. Like and this is just me out of respect and knowing that, you know, she's been at the top of her game since I came on the scene. I want to challenge myself against Katie. And I believe I can beat her. And so I want to go out to 35 and take her on. And then I'm going up to 140, to be honest.
Yeah, really? Really? Yeah. I'm just looking at who's up at Chantel Cameron. Great fight. Another great fight in the UK. You haven't fought in the UK as a professional. Is that, I know you had a great sojourn over here and met all the media, did media work. You've come over a few times, you've done broadcasts. Happy hunting ground for you, I suspect. It feels like a happy hunting ground.
Yeah, I've been wanting to get in front of those fans for a long time. It's a different energy out there in the UK. I've said it from the beginning. You know, the market's tough in America, and you know, I'm happy to be taking on that role and trying to build women's boxing in America, but it's a lot of work. And so I'd be stupid if I didn't get in front of the fans that are loving us and appreciating us and showing up for us. And that's in the UK right now. So yeah, that's where I want to be.
Do you have any issues with it being an all-female card? Because there's a bit of debate around that as well on September the 10th.
No, why would I? I think it's awesome. Why would I ever, who doesn't want it to be an all-female card?
Well, there was just the thought process that if you had some male fights on the card as well, it would bring a different kind of audience. And it's all about audience for the women right now, because it's definitely, the era is definitely growing. And, you know, yeah. So it's just that around it, people debating that a little bit, you know?
I think it's going to be great because this usually people are coming out, you know, just for the main event. But in this case, you have 2 main event worthy fights going on.
Definitely.
And so that's something that boxing doesn't regularly do. And that's another thing that I'm kind of excited to be a part of, because it's a one-stop shop for the fans, you know? And yeah, I was telling did an interview the other day, and I was saying that, you know, the other option to this was putting us on the weekend before. And I think that would have split us in a way. Now we're coming together. We're all a female fight card coming together for the fans. And if we would have fought one weekend apart, I feel like people would have had to choose, especially people coming from America. And I didn't want that to be the case. So I said, hell yeah, put it together and make it doable for the fans.
5 years ago, you could never imagine you'd be in this era where we really are kickstarting hard women's kind of, there are probably 20 or 30 elite women now that the world want to watch.
Yeah.
And that there could be trilogies. And like you mentioned, Katie Taylor, and she can stay long enough. And you might end up with a trilogy with Baumgartner, with anyone, basically. Do you feel, I'll say, lucky or privileged that you're not kind of fighting a Christy Martin time battle or a Jane Couch time battle, that there genuinely are avenues for it to happen and great fights to be made?
Absolutely. I'm like stoked about being part of this era, because this is what I always envisioned for women's boxing when I first started. You know, you can never exactly envision the way it is now, because it's so amazing. Like, I'm sure we all had our own vision in some way, but you know, I believe because of the Olympics, we're able to be at the point we are now, and that we'll never do the way they did in between, like Layla Ali days and now, because we have too deep of a talent pool, and women are finally able to compete at the highest level, and they weren't able to do that before. We're now coming into the pros with like all this experience and skills, and girls are just starting at a younger and younger age now. Whereas, like, you know, the top women right now are a little bit older than the top men, because we just didn't have that. We weren't able to compete at a high level at the youngest age when the men were. So it's all changing and evolving, and we're closing that gap, that skill gap. So this is amazing. This is great. It's another thing I think about when I step in the ring is, you know, one of my things I pride myself on is being very technically sound. I think that's very important also, to help close this gap of equality in men and women in the sport, and to help grow women's boxing, because we have to show that we've evolved, and that we're able to compete at this level, and that we can be on the same stage as the men. So yeah, it's amazing. I'm really excited.
Moving to Alicia, she's a very aggressive fighter, as we know, and in your press conference recently, she said, "When we're both grey and old," you remember this quote, "Maya is still going to be having Alicia Baumgartner flashbacks. When she's lying horizontally in the ring, Maya will think back to the first time my name left her mouth, and she's going to wish it hadn't." Do you love that kind of tease up or aggression from another fighter? Does that get your juices flowing?
Like, relax, sit down. She's really not that aggressive of a fighter. Like, think about it. She likes to sit back, coast through her fights. There's nothing to fear in Alicia Baumgartner, because she's not the one who sets the pace. I'm the person who sets the pace. She, with her fight with Matisse, she couldn't kick into that second or third gear, right? So if she can't land that big right hand, she doesn't have anything else. So I don't think that she's all that aggressive. I think I'm aggressive. I think I'm the dog walker.
Okay. So she clearly hasn't seen one of your fights of the year last year against Maeve Hamadouche. So we know you can go into the trenches. There's no doubt about that. You know, you have said you're going to use your tools and experience in this fight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like I am a more complete fighter than Baumgartner. I've had the fights to test myself and push myself, and credit to Top Rank. You know, they've really moved me really, really well. I've been working on something different for every single fight, and I'm ready. I'm ready for this. I'm a complete fighter now, and I can't necessarily say the same about Baumgartner. I think that she's a few levels behind me. I think that one day she'll be a very good fighter. She doesn't keep changing trainers, and she gets some consistency in her camp. But not against me. This is my time right now. And I'm ready to be let off my leash. You know, I've had all the experience and I've been built properly. And so, and I'm going to prove that to everybody.
Can I ask your opinion about the Shields Marshall fight? How you see that going?
Yeah, sure. I think this is a great fight. I'm literally coming into this fight as a fan, coming to see this fight too as a fan. Like, people think that just because you're a boxer, you don't kind of fan over certain fights, and I definitely do. This is one of them. I love the build up for it. And I think they both bring two different things to the table. You know, my favorite thing about Claressa is she's a dog. Like, she will come. She's relentless. She will come to you. She will come forward, and she has a very high punch count and speed for a girl in that division. And then you have Savannah Marshall, who has been proven to have great power, and that, you know, she poses a threat there. You know, the longer, taller fighter, so who has been in the ring with Shields before. So there's that factor, whether it's just mental, you know. So it's going to be a great matchup. You know, they both have different skill coming into this fight, and so it's going to be who plays into their skill better. I think that Claressa, if it goes to decision, I believe that Claressa will come out on top because of her aggression and her punch count, really fast combinations, and she doesn't let up. I think that in order for Savannah to win the fight, she will have to land that big punch that she's done so many times in the past.
I think in this, I think it's a fascinating fight, and I think I think Savannah will probably get hit more than she's been hit in other fights, and maybe Claressa will be hit harder than she's been hit in other fights. So it's fascinating in that respect, because it's not really, a lot of people are seeing it as boxer versus puncher, but it's much more nuanced than that, isn't it? Much more nuanced, you know. And it could be who holds it together most mentally, you know, and stays the calmer in there, you know.
Yeah, and it has to be a very disciplined fight, you know. And I think what's kind of cool is people kind of see the same thing in me versus Baumgartner, because you know, Baumgartner, because she stopped Terry Harper, that you know, she's this big puncher, this big one punch KO artist, which I don't necessarily believe. I think that she does have power, and I think she caught Harper perfectly, but I don't think that she's gonna be able to run.
It wasn't a great Harper who turned up that night. She wasn't in a great place either, you know, definitely.
I agree. So I still think she has a lot more to prove. Where I think Savannah has proven her power a little bit more. But it's still, some people believe that Baumgartner is this big one punch knockout artist and that she's going to knock me out. And a lot of people believe that about Savannah. So I think that's just kind of makes it even more exciting. It's like you do have this like boxer puncher mindset.
The last thing I want to ask you, and it's quite an interesting one, obviously it's your 18th fight. You haven't fought outside the US. So you're going to be coming to London. Have you decided where you're going to train? Are you going to do a part of your camp here? Are you going to come 2 weeks in advance? Obviously, the waters change, don't they? You've been over here. I'm sure you trained while you were here, and it always feels slightly different. What are your plans so far, anyway?
Even though I haven't fought as a pro outside the U.S., you got to remember how many international tournaments as an amateur, a top amateur. So I'm used to that. And yes, absolutely, I'll come out early. That's, you know, I want to feel.
Do you know where you'll train? Do you know where you're going to train or work out? Or?
But I have to find out, because I'm going to be needing my last week of sparring out there. So I'm going to have my coaches look into it and figure out exactly where I'll be working and who I can be working with.
Yeah, so you want to get one of those nice, gritty, sweat, blood and tears East London gyms, I reckon.
Okay.
On the docks somewhere, you know?
Okay. Let me know your recommendation.
I will let you know. I will let you know. Mikaela, it's brilliant to see you. I always appreciate the time. You look really fit, really ready. We cannot wait for September to come. Stay well through July and August, and we'll see you in early September.
All right, say hi to the dogs.
I will. Hi, dogs. They're always there.
Oh, yeah, they are. All right, good talking to you.
Well, I'm delighted to say, as you can see, as you can hear, I'm with Ebanie Bridges, the IBF bantamweight champion. Now that Ebanie was on March the 26th, How does it feel to be walking around as the world champion?
You know, I mean, I'm getting pretty used to it now, and I think it's going to be stuck around for a while. So yeah, no, it's great. Look, it's an incredible goal of mine achieved, and you know, I feel amazing about it. And it's just like, what's next? You know, like I just, you know, me, I'm kind of never really 100% satisfied, and I've always just want to be bigger and better. So, I mean, you know, just focusing on what's in front.
What is in front then? I mean, I saw you do an interview with IFL TV with Eddie Hearn the other day, where you were both talking around things, and you said you were leaving it in his hands, but you're very keen to get back out there. What you know, what is the move at the moment? Is it September? Is it, well, what is it?
Yeah, I mean, Eddie's talking about September, and I'm pushing for it. Obviously, I've just relocated to here, and I rushed my relocation because, you know, Eddie did say that he was going to get me out in the summer. So of course I wanted to have a full camp, you know, so I made sure that I got back here in time. Not much left of summer, but so we are hoping that it is September. He has given me a couple of dates, and it's just waiting on the confirmation. So I'm ready, you know, I'm training like in camp, like I'm getting ready for a fight with Mark. It's been great settling in. I'm really settled in now, you know, to my home here, and yeah, just ready to just go all in, you know. So I'm really excited. Obviously the first fight, Eddie said that we're going to do a voluntary defense, which is cool with me. And then looking at some big fights at the end of the year, and obviously all of next year, I plan to unify. So,
tell me, did you suggest at all to Eddie that you should be on the Saudi Arabia card with
I did.
Anthony Joshua and Alexander Usyk? I mean, look.
Of course I did.
You do would have caused a massive stir there, but
of course,
did you kind of bring that up and say, look, this is about changing things? I could really change.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I said it to Frank, to be honest. Eddie, I mean, I mentioned it to Eddie, but I did mention it to Frank. And Frank, I said to him, I pretty much said, like, you know, what's the go with Saudi? Are girls banned in Saudi? Like, you don't have any females on the card. I know Saudi's a bit you know, there's, you know, the whole women stuff. I don't really know it myself, but I can just imagine. And I just wanted to know, because I thought, you don't have any females on the card. You haven't had females on the card. So yeah, I just asked, and he said, you know, no, they're not banned, and you know, it needs more attention. And there are boxers in Saudi, female boxers, and it does need more attention. I said, well, I'm your girl. I go, if you want attention in Saudi and you want to win women's boxing to Saudi, I think I'm the name for that, and I think I'm the girl that can cause the commotion, the stir, and controversy, which is not a bad thing, you know. I mean, I'll cover up a little bit if I have to, whatever. I don't know the laws, so I don't really understand.
Yeah.
Of course, I suggested it. You know me, Gareth. I'm always suggesting ideas that I think is going to be good for myself and for women's boxing, and just, you know, just as people need to get on board with me, you know. So yeah, I mean, I mentioned it, but nothing came back after that. Of course, you know, I want to fight in America too. I also mentioned that it would be good to have a female card on the Triple G Canelo undercard, which I would love to get over there and fight in America again.
Is that a possibility then?
I don't think so. No, I mean, it could be, but the problem with that is it's not a wholly Matchroom promotion. So obviously Matchroom is sharing it with Canelo and Triple G promotion. So it's kind of like, as you know, when there's combined promotion, it's like, it's not just one promoter that has a say of who's on the undercard. Like, everyone kind of chips in and puts their fighters in, you know. And yeah. So, you know, I'm always suggesting, you know, I always want to be bigger and better, and I always want to get women's boxing in the grade. The whole point for me is just to get more eyes on women's boxing, and by putting females and women on these kind of cards, that's what's going to get it. You know what I mean? Katie Taylor was on Anthony Joshua undercards for a long time, and look where Katie is, you know. So I think that, you know, we've got to keep that going.
Do you think, going back to Saudi Arabia for a minute, do you think in a way that did you get a message back from Frank Smith or Eddie that maybe you were even too much in the way you are to go on?
I didn't, but I didn't get a response when I said, hey, I'm your girl. So I do think that, you know, I probably, it is a bit, it may be too much. I mean, but I think that that's what you need to do. You need to cause a stir, you need to cause commotion, you need to cause chat, you need to cause talk. That's what you need to do. You know what I mean? And you need to kind of disrupt the norms. And I don't think it's a bad thing at all. It's going to bring much more attention, especially for the women over there. And I think it's a good thing to show someone like me who's very strong-willed, very strong in femininity and embracing women, you know, womanness and you know, being women, to be able to have our own thoughts and our own, you know, ideas and be who we want to be without restriction. And I think I'm the kind of person that would be great example and show that strength to represent women over in a country like Saudi, you know. And it might be bad, and people might get a bit upset, but I think that's how you start change. People got real upset with me 2 years ago when I first jumped on the scales in lingerie. People got real upset, but now it's changed. Now we're seeing it a lot more. You know, we're seeing girls, you know, put the effort and put the makeup and do all this kind of stuff because it's okay. You know, people shouldn't be scared of change. And but like I said, you know, I'm just talking out of what I think. I actually don't know the laws. I mean, Frank did say they're not banned and that it needs more attention. But I don't really know the ins and outs of it, to be fair. I think I did say that the Saudis would love me secretly. You know what I mean? But hey.
I think they should have had a women's fight on the card. I think they should have a women's fight on the
I
card.
mean, I can only suggest and push so much, you know. Yeah. I mean, I think I've done really well with self-promoting myself. I feel like my ideas are pretty damn good. But you know, I'm not in control. I just did the fighting. I can only try and plant seeds and try and suggest things to help the sport. But it's only it's a one man show.
Tell me, you mentioned 2 years ago, your social media has grown enormously since then. I think you're up to 500,000 on Instagram, is it?
Yeah, over 500,000 and
over 500,000. And what is it on Twitter now?
Twitter's like nearly 150. TikTok like 600,000.
I don't even know what TikTok is, so
yeah.
No, I don't know. But
it's a big platform.
yeah. When we talked about this at the very beginning when I first met you, and you know, you were introduced to me by, you know, PR people like Mel in the country who works for Tyson Fury. You know, you said you were on this journey. Have you been? Obviously it can be a brutal world, social media, as well as a rewarding world, and I know you've done fans only stuff as well. And is it all just part of the career? That's how you look at it, and you take the rough with the smooth, and you have a thick skin when you do it, and deal with people who are maybe overtly interested in your sexuality or not so much in your boxing, because principally you're a boxer, aren't you? That's what drives you, isn't it? You know.
It is. Of course, that's me. What drives me. But in the end, having the big platform these days, that's what drives businesses, and that's what drives money. Because being connected to me, your business being connected to me, your promotion being connected to me, your name being connected to me, you getting a photo with me, you're gonna get in the paper. You know, all my friends, when I post photos, they get in the paper. Like, you know what I mean? And if you got a brand connected to me, if you're on my social media, because I have the biggest following and like one of the biggest following in women's boxing, I think. So it's like you're gonna get that promotion, and that's where people promote these days, you know, and that's where people want the clout, and they want to connect to you. I'm so sorry, my kitten is just going crazy with these curtains.
We're happy for the kitten to make an appearance.
Yeah, that's Gracie. Anyways, so that's where, you know, obviously making money in business through social media. Women still don't get paid. You mean you've got 1 or 2 women that are getting paid what they, you know, like. So, you know, for me, it's all income. It's income because it's advertising for people, and doesn't matter if you're a boxing fan or you're a fan of my boobs. It does not matter, because you're following me and you're going to see my stuff and you're going to like it. So if I have a brand connected to me, you're going to get a lot of eyes on it. It doesn't matter if it's boxing or not. It's eyes on it, you know, and it's not always. Boxing is like this big compared to what everything else is in the world. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So the main thing is, my goal is to be mainstream. I want to be mainstream. I don't want to just have boxing fans. You know, that's like making my fan base and my name brand so small for just a niche. I don't want to be that. You know, I want to be global, but I want to be in the mainstream, which I am. You know, like I believe, you know, I get like I said, you see it on my Twitter, like constant paper articles or whatever, in mainstream. And I think that's in a way a good thing, because me being in mainstream and being connected to boxing is bringing people that aren't into boxing to look at the boxing.
Are you getting lots of girls, Ebanie, coming to you and saying, I'm inspired by what you're doing as well?
Yeah, definitely. Like, you would have seen on my Twitter or my social media if you're following, Elle Brooke, who's a OnlyFans star, and obviously, she was inspired because you can, like, I obviously bring a different look and I'm very open-minded, and it's not just like, this is how you got to be. So it is kind of like, it's giving other girls that maybe think that they're not made for boxing, or boxing's not for their type, to be like, actually, you know what, maybe I will give it a go, and whatever. And a lot of little girls, so I get videos of parents all the time of like little girls, in their little boxing gear, acting to be like little blonde bombers, and they come to my meet and greets, they send me messages, the little girls, I voice message, it's amazing, and I support them as well. If I have any like little girl fans and their parents tell me about them, I always say if they're having a fight or they're doing anything, I always make sure I send videos and stuff, because I just love the kids, as a teacher. So for me, kids and the youth is really important to inspire and give them time.
As you say, you've moved lock, stock and barrel to the UK. I want to talk about Mark Tibbs and your actual boxing. Grab the kitten if you need to.
No, she's okay. She's
one of the things that's also had a massively good influence on you is that you're not swearing anymore now you live in the UK all the time. You haven't sworn once today.
I'm very well. I'm being
effing this and effing that, and when the adrenaline's flowing, I know it's difficult. You're being anglicized a little bit more, I think.
Maybe a little bit. I think I'm just slightly more controlled.
Yeah, but you were. There was a time when you couldn't stop yourself. It's quite interesting. And I think all the media you're doing, we can see the kitten now.
Yeah.
Gorgeous little thing.
Well, I think definitely I'm kind of picking and choosing, if you're with me, as a friend, I will still throw it all around. It's like I hasn't left me. But I just wear my teacher's hat a lot more, depending on obviously who I'm talking to, I think, because it is I understand media and I understand PR, I suppose. And with obviously chats from Mel and you guys as well, I take everything on board, and I think it's all learning for me. I didn't expect to be such a big name and big influence and big voice in boxing or in sport or just in general in the world 2 years ago, what I mean?
Yeah.
So of course you adjust and you grow and you into your role,
Let's talk about the boxing. Let me talk first of all about the link up with Mark Tibbs. I think is about 9 months to a year now, is it?
Yes. Kind of November last year.
Yeah.
November last year, I came over for my first like a 2-week stint with Tibbs, that was where I was like, I'm gonna make my mind up. But I did come and train with him in July for like a week. And that's kind of where I still got my first taste of Tibbs in that gym.
And it's a very good fit, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I see that when I've seen you with him. It's a very good fit,
Yeah, definitely. The relationship is great. We get along so well, and even obviously with Mark, but Jimmy, Jimmy's like, they're like family. They're honestly like family to me.
Jimmy's very, very old school,
he is.
He's a great teacher. He's a great teacher.
It's so funny because literally last week he was doing up my gloves, and I think he was just having a bit of an epiphany. He was doing my gloves up, and he goes, I never thought I'd be doing this.
Lacing up a woman's gloves. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And he goes, honestly, I never thought I would be doing this. And I go, oh, Jimmy, but you love it. You never go back now that you've laced up. I go, and then he goes, no, you're right. He goes, you know what? He goes, you're one of the most professional and most skilled boxers that we've had here. And he loves watching me and loves my style. And he's always so proud of me. Jimmy is extremely proud of me because he knows how hard I work. And he always goes on about my fight. He absolutely loves my last fight.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was brilliant. I think long may it rain that you're with those guys, in my view. Jamie Mitchell, Julian Luna, Dina Thorsland. What do you think if you're going to do unification? You said it's a voluntary next, but if you were going to go for a unification, who would it be? And do you still want to step back in with your rivals here from the UK, or does that actually sell better? Look what they're doing with Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr. at the moment. You know, that's maybe selling better than Conor Benn or Chris Eubank fighting people from overseas.
Oh, definitely. I mean, 100%. Look, let's talk about the other champions first. No matter what, they're all going to be good fights, you know, because they are champions. But the people are only really watching that for me. Like, you know, they have fans, don't get me wrong, but people are watching that just for I suppose for me to see my other win or to see me lose. You know what I mean? But that's what they're tuning in to watch it. I don't think anyone's really excited about any of them in general, like a real excitement. They just, you know, I think they know that I fight hard and they want to see that kind of fight. But as for, you know, my rivalry, Shani, that is a fight that everyone wants to see. Like, you know, because everyone loves rivalries.
Yeah.
And you know, it is one of the biggest ones, especially in women's boxing. It's right up there with the Clarissa and Sav rivalry. You know, like the dislike and
it sells. It simply sells.
It sells.
So, you know,
sells. It sells. Yeah. But because it sells, and I have the belt, you know, Matchroom, they have to put the right money on the table, because it all comes down to money to me with that. Because as much as I want that fight and I want to beat her up, because I know that I beat her. I mean, I thought I beat her last time with one eye, but I mean, I would definitely beat her this time. I still don't fancy just getting in there and doing that for, you know, for not chump change, but for not the right price. You know, you got Katie Taylor and Serrano just made like millions, right? And you're getting Clarissa and Sav that are going to be making right up there in a million, you know, and that's the rivalries, you know, and if the fights are built right, and if I have the backing behind me, if I have the promotion behind me, you know, I mean, I'm doing this myself, you know, put more promotion behind me, then, you know, that's it's easy fights to sell, you know, and that purse shouldn't be an issue, you know, or you know, right, to be right up there. I'm not greedy, but you got to understand, not women's boxing, commercial value of women's boxing has gone through the roof in the last year or two. I think I have had a lot to do with that. I'm not being arrogant. I really do believe I've got a lot of eyes on the sport as well. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of other girls as well, but I do think that me coming to zone has helped it as well. And my commercial value has gone up, you know. So if we're talking about commercial value, and that's how people are getting paid in fights, which is usually the case, and that's why, to be honest, I never complained about women's boxing a year ago or 2 years ago, because the commercial value really wasn't there, you know. And so I never was one of those people that got on and was really a big complainer saying that we need to get the same as the men, because we weren't really there. But there are some fights and some fighters, women boxers, that are, the commercial value is up there with the men, and these fights are up there with the men, so we need to be getting paid the same, you know, or very similar.
You cannot argue with that. No. You know, it's a dangerous sport, and you have to make the most you can out of the most you can the entire time. I completely agree.
Exactly. And it's got nothing to do really with the 3 minutes and the 12 rounds. It's got nothing to do with that, because a fight with a commercial value,
I think the length of rounds is irrelevant.
It doesn't matter. It's about how much it's sold.
I completely agree with you. That argument, I don't buy it myself. Can I just ask you, on September the 10th, Clarissa Shields, Savannah Marshall, Alicia Baumgardner, and Mikaela Mayer, and Tasha Jonas and Hannah Ranking, I'm hearing.
Okay.
Is that right to have an all-female card, do you think, and have 3 world title fights like that? That clearly those 3 could be in their own right, but Baumgardner and Mikaela Mayer could be the Hulu Theatre in Madison Square Garden. It could be in a small casino in Vegas or in Los Angeles. Tasha Jonas and Hannah Rankin probably sell out the Echo Arena in Liverpool. What did you think when you saw that all 3 of those are on the same card, and it's an all women's card?
Okay. I don't want to say it. I don't yet really believe in all female cards. I think it's great what they're doing. They're trying to sell. They're trying to make history, you know, like just like the whole, you know, Matchroom did with Katie Taylor and Serrano. I think it's a bit of a competition between promoters, to be fair, and broadcasters are trying to just break history. Talking about the first all-female card. There's been plenty of all-female cards. I was on one of them in America 2 years ago. Yeah. I think, I definitely think the Mayer and Baumgartner fight could be a main event, and it could be sell as well. I don't think it sells. I don't think it sells as much as Clarissa and Savannah. I do think that having them all on that card is going to definitely sell that card more than if it was just Clarissa and Sav and some undercard of some like lower grade men undercard or some different females on the undercard.
So you get it in that sense, having three very strong.
I get it in that sense, because having them all on one card is definitely going to make that card sell more, because they're the main
men's fights on that card as well, Ebanie, in your view?
I don't. I think
I'm thinking of audience and tickets. I'm not thinking of numbers on TV. It's not. Well, I'm thinking in the arena.
I think it depends on the male fight. I think it depends on the male fight, because it's all really about bringing more eyes on women's boxing. And sometimes to do that, you need to throw in a male fight, because to bring those male fight fans to watch. To
see those female fights, exactly.
Because if there's no male fights on there, then the guys and the fans that are strictly male boxing, because there's still quite a few out there, we're turning them, but there's still few out there, they're not going to tune in.
I remember in Australia, in the Paralympics in 2000, for the first time, because I covered it, they bussed school children in to watch the Paralympics, like thousands and thousands, and filled the venues in Sydney. And it had the effect. It had the effect of that generation grew up then seeing this major event and seeing disability sport, Paralympic sport, as normal, not as something different. And I think if they are going to do the O2 Arena on September the 10th, and it is all women, I think they should make sure that they get that arena full, whether it's of schoolgirl sports clubs, little kids, little boys and girls sports clubs. They need to fill the venue, in my view.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that's the plan. Like, I know the Matchroom, had that same plan with Serrano and Katie Taylor. Just get it full, get people in there, invite people. You know what I mean? Get big names there. Yeah. Get people, influencers, whatever. Get them there at the fight. And exactly that kind of thing. And that's what you want to do. You might need to invest, in the sense like a promoter would need to invest by just getting free tickets to get people there. So then it sets up for the future. Do you know what I mean? It is. And it's all about investing in the future. And that's what these cards are about. And that's what this women's boxing card is about investing in the future. I'm sure they're going to make money back, but you're going to have to put money in to build the hype around this. You're going to have to put a lot of money into promoting it more than you would a male fight, or more than you would just one of the fights. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you have these three big female fights, particularly the Clarissa, Sav, and the Mayer Baumgartner one. These are big fights that sell, and you can just over push them and over put them in people's faces. And the good thing is Sky Sport's good like that. Sky Sport is mainstream. Do you know what I mean? So they can promote all that during the football, during the rugby, during the tennis, whatever's going on. They can pump it. So those ads and that promotion is going to be seen by people that aren't boxing fans. And if
there's definitely they're going to be eyes on it, and like you say, eyes on it changes perception. Sometimes not always for the better with everyone, but it certainly brings more people to it. Look, I'm going to let you go. I can see the kitten is in the back of the picture.
Sorry.
More. It's okay. It's great to catch up with you, Ebanie. There she is. It's great to catch up with you. It's brilliant that you're running the career in Britain. I'm so pleased it's going well with Mark Tibbs, and we look forward to your next fight announcement. Can't wait.
Yes, me too. Thank you so much, Gareth. Always a pleasure.